World B. Free didn't just have a unique name, he had a unique game. Although he was the size of a point guard at 6'2", his 44-inch vertical and his rainbow jumper made him more suitable as a shooting guard. He played at Guilford College since he didn't have the grades to get into Arkansas, but he carved out an amazing college career before being drafted by the Sixers right before Dr. J joined the NBA. He would help Philly make the finals in 1977, before being traded to the San Diego Clippers in 1979, as he would quickly become their best player. He was a great mid-range shooter who could slash effectively and either finish with a dunk or a trip to the line. World would become one of the best scorers in the league, establishing himself as an all-star and an all-NBA level talent. However, his shot selection would get him a bad reputation as a gunner or a selfish player. It also didn't help that he lacked the team success to really stand out, as he only made 2 more playoff appearances after leaving Philly. But when he got hot, nobody was able to stop him from scoring. He was one of the more underrated players of his time, even playing a major part in helping the Cavaliers stay in Cleveland. Welcome to PC Hoops, and let's get down to it. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to call him Lloyd. I'm just letting you know because it just flows better saying Lloyd instead of World. Lloyd Free was born in Atlanta, Georgia, but grew up in Brooklyn, New York, specifically in the Brownsville neighborhood. Street gang influence was pretty prevalent in this area, so his mom kept him sheltered. She put him in Canarsie High School instead of Jefferson High, where most of his friends and bad influences were. Although it took a while for his basketball skill to catch up, his physical abilities were second to none, as he completed a 360 dunk in the park as a teenager, much to the shock of everyone watching. They compared his twishing in the air to the Earth's revolution, calling him World, as the name would stick. Lloyd didn't play varsity until his junior season, but once he graduated, he was recruited heavily by Jerry Tarkanian at Long Beach State. But when Jerry left to coach at UNLV, Lloyd reopened his recruitment. He was pretty close to choosing Arkansas, but his grades weren't good enough to get in. Lloyd decided to attend Guilford College, a small NAIA school in North Carolina, where he would be the best player. It's been reported that he laughed in the head coach's face when he was told he wasn't guaranteed a starting spot. Lloyd helped Guilford College win a national championship in his freshman year, also winning the MVP of the tournament. Lloyd would average 24 points and 6.5 rebounds on 49% shooting in his 3 years of college. Despite going to a small program, Lloyd was clearly good enough for the NBA. A scout for the Sixers was extremely impressed with his scoring and leaping ability for his size, so Lloyd was picked in the second round of the 1975 NBA draft, joining a Philly squad led by George McGinnis and Doug Collins. The Sixers had a nice rookie class along with Free, as they also drafted Joe Bryant and Daryl Dawkins. Philly also had some decent players in Steve Mix and Fred Carter, along with team legend Billy Cunningham, who was in his last season after a short stint in the ABA. Lloyd played a small role as a rookie, providing important minutes off the bench. He scored 15 points in 15 minutes in his debut against Chicago. He dropped 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals on January 8th against Cleveland. 2 weeks later, he dropped 29 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists on 70% shooting. He even grabbed his first career double-double on March 24th against the Knicks, with 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. Lloyd had shown that he could score at a high level, but the possession usually ended with him, as he wasn't afraid to shoot. George and Doug were forming a nice young duo that the Sixers could build around. Philly's offense was the greatest strength as they finished 46 and 36. Lloyd averaged 8.5 points, 2 rebounds, and 1.5 assists, placing third in Rookie of the Year voting. He didn't receive that many minutes in their first round series against Buffalo, but when he did play, he put up points but not very efficiently. But Game 3 would be decided by 1 point in overtime, as Buffalo snuck past the Sixers. The NBA merger was the best thing to happen to Philly, as they acquired the league's best player, Julius Erving. Lloyd would improve tremendously as a sophomore, as he nearly doubled his shot attempts, but his efficiency increased as well. He averaged 23 points the month of January, including a then career-high 39 points on 59% shooting against Houston. Lloyd was passing a lot more, as he had 22 games with 5 or more assists, and he showed some promise defensively, grabbing multiple steals in 8 games. Apart from their all-star trio, Lloyd was the 4th leading scorer on the team, as he helped the potent Sixers offense to a 50-32 finish. He averaged 16 points, 3 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and a steal. He had a solid roll off the bench in the first round, averaging 15 points but on 38% shooting. But he dropped 27 points and 5 assists in Game 7 to help the Sixers advance to face the Rockets. Lloyd only played in 3 games, but the Sixers beat Houston in 6, booking a trip to the finals against the Blazers, a team nobody expected to be there. McGinnis would struggle mightily against Maurice Lucas and Bill Walton, as he only averaged 13 points on 38% shooting. Lloyd didn't fare too well either, as he shot 29% for the series, as Portland won the finals in 6 games. After an embarrassing loss in the finals last year, people were questioning whether the McGinnis and Erving duo could lead them to a title, as this would be the last chance for them. Lloyd would be stuck on the bench again, but he would do his job, dropping 29 points and 7 rebounds against Boston on November 18th. He showed he could be a solid defender, dropping 22 points, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks against the Lakers on January 6th. Philly had the best offense in the league, as former player Billy Cunningham was now the coach, and the Sixers were 55-27. Lloyd averaged 16 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal, as he would get increased playing time in the semifinals against New York. Lloyd dropped 29 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists on 62% shooting as the Sixers swept the Knicks, facing the Bullets in the conference finals. He dropped 21 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists in Game 1, but the Sixers lost in overtime. Over the next 5 games, he shot 33% as the Sixers lost in 6. According to Free, his time in Philly wasn't the best. It was rough at Philly. I liked a lot of the guys on the team, but a lot of the guys just didn't like young players on their team. I'm not going to say any names, but they just didn't like younger guys. I think it's important to be an all-around player. I've always felt that way. But when I was with Philly, people misunderstood. The coach told me to shoot, and when the coach says to shoot, I shoot. If the coach tells me to pass, I pass. But he wanted me to shoot. Lloyd was traded to the San Diego Clippers for a future first-round pick that would turn into Charles Barkley. San Diego wasn't a great team, but they had some solid players like Randy Smith, Sven Nader, Kermit Washington, and Cindy Wicks. Lloyd finally had the freedom he wanted. He was playing great to start out, averaging 27 points, 3.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and 1.5 steals in the first 2 weeks. He dropped 42 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists on 63% shooting on November 2nd against the Knicks, and 46 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists with 22 free throws on January 13th against the Hawks. He set a career high with 49 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists on February 2nd against Denver. He had 39 20-point games, 26 30-point games, and 5 40-point games. If there was a Most Improved Player award at the time, Lloyd would have easily won it, as he increased his scoring average by 13 points. Randy Smith put up 20 points a game, but the Clippers had the worst defense in the league. San Diego finished 43-39, 2 games out of a playoff spot. Lloyd's breakout season saw him average 29 points, 4 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 1.5 steals, as he made the All-NBA second team, finishing second in the league behind the Iceman in scoring. Randy Smith was traded to the Cavs in the offseason. As second-year guard, Freeman Williams got a bigger opportunity. The Clippers also signed Bill Walton, but he could barely stay healthy. Lloyd started out the season on fire, dropping 46 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 7 steals in the season opener against the Lakers, as he averaged 32 points a game for the first 2 weeks of the season. He dropped 24 20-point games, 30 30-point games, and 8 40-point games. He led the league in free throws for the second year in a row, while Brian Taylor led the league in three-pointers and Sven Nader led the league in rebounding. But the Clippers were bad on both sides of the ball, finishing 35-47. Lloyd was second in the league again with 30 points, 3.5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal, making the All-Star team for the first and only time. Lloyd was traded to the Golden State Warriors in the offseason for Phil Smith and a first-round pick. Golden State had some nice scorers in Bernard King and Purvis Short. They had just selected Joe Barry Carroll with the first pick of the draft, and Larry Smith with the 24th pick. Lloyd dropped 21 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 steals in the season opener. This was his best passing season yet, recording 3 games with 10 assists. Lloyd finished 9th in scoring and 3rd in free throws made. The Warriors put up a lot of points, but they couldn't stop anybody. The Warriors finished 39-43, missing the playoffs, as Lloyd averaged 24 points, 2.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and 1.5 steals. Lloyd and King were one of the best scoring duos in 1982. Lloyd was going off in December, averaging 26 points and 7 assists on 48% shooting and 33% from 3. He had 35 20-point games and 17 30-point games this season, ranking 9th in scoring and 6th in free throws made. Golden State's improved defense led to them finishing 45-37, missing the playoffs by 1 game. Lloyd averaged 23 points, 3 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and a steal this season. Lloyd started the season in Golden State, but in December he was traded to the Cavs for Ron Brewer. The Cavs hadn't made the playoffs in 5 years and they were in danger of leaving the city, as he had the lowest attendance in the league. They still had some good players like Scott Wedman, Cliff Robinson, and Jeff Houston. It took a bit for him to get adjusted, but once January hit, he was rolling, averaging 25 points, 3.5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals on 46% shooting, and 54% from 3. On March 8th, he dropped a season-high 37 points and 5 assists against Houston. Lloyd was top 10 in scoring and free throws, but Cleveland's offense was terrible, ranking last in the league, so they finished 23-59. He averaged 24 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1.5 steals. The Cavs signed Lonnie Shelton and drafted Roy Hinson in 1983. Lloyd dropped 35 points in the season opener, followed by 40 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals the next game. The Cavs finally didn't have the worst offense in the league. They had the second worst, as outside of Lloyd and Cliff, nobody else on the team scored more than 11 points a game. Cleveland was still at the bottom of the league in attendance, as their 28-54 record didn't help the situation at all. Lloyd averaged 22 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1.5 steals. The Cavs hired George Karl as their coach in 1984, as Lloyd started to take a lot more threes this year, as on December 27th against Chicago, he dropped 30 points and 6 assists with 5 threes. On February 16th, he dropped 45 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals with 6 threes. He made 71 threes this year, which was second in the league. Roy Hinson and Phil Hubbard improved a lot in their second seasons. John Bagley ranked 5th in assists, as Cleveland improved on both sides of the ball, finishing 36 and 46, sneaking into the playoffs for the first time in 7 years. Lloyd averaged 22 points, 3 rebounds, 4.5 assists and a steal as the Cavs faced the Celtics in the first round. In his first playoff game since 1978, he dropped 18 points and 7 assists, but Larry Bird had 40 as the Celtics won by 3. Lloyd had 25 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in Game 2, but the Celtics won by 2. He dropped 32 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals as the Cavs won and forced a Game 4. He had 30 points and 9 assists in Game 4, but he shot 11 for 27 as the Celtics won by 2, closing out the series. Unfortunately, the Cavs regressed in 1985, but Lloyd was still consistent, dropping 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in the season opener. He put up 39 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals on December 13th against the Bucks, followed by a season-high 43 points, 6 rebounds, and 11 assists on March 29th against the Hawks. Lloyd made 71 threes again this year, good enough for 3rd in the league. Roy Hinson had the best season of his career, but Cleveland's offense was bad again, as nobody outside of these two averaged more than 14 points a game. As they continued to lose, George Karl was fired after a 25-42 start and was replaced by Gene Littles. The Cavs finished 29-53. Lloyd averaged 23 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. When speaking of his time in Cleveland, Lloyd said, "I remember when I was first traded from the Golden State Warriors to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They had like 1,500 people in the Richfield Coliseum because the franchise was in turmoil, and they were getting ready to sell the franchise to some other city, as I was a big part of helping them keep basketball alive in the city of Cleveland. I was one of the guys that was a big part of that, and that always stuck with me. It's also probably one of the longer tenured teams I've stayed with in my career. Then when we made the playoffs that year with George Karl, then the fans started to turn out. It was unbelievable. It went from 1,500 to sellout crowds with the playoff appearance that year, and brought basketball back to Cleveland." Lloyd was allowed to lead the Cavs in free agency, but then he wouldn't get signed until December 30th, returning to the Sixers. But it didn't go the best, as he came in 20 pounds overweight and he couldn't hit any shots, shooting under 32% in 20 games with Philly. He would eventually be waived, but he would sign with the Miami Tropics of the USBL. He led them to a championship, and he was the playoff MVP averaging 25 points a game. His performance in that league caught the attention of the Houston Rockets. Houston still had the Twin Towers, but Ralph Sampson's body had started to break down, as Lloyd had a limited role off the bench. He was inconsistent this year, dropping 37 points and 2 assists on 71% shooting on November 12th, but then dropping 2 points on 1 of 11 shooting the next game. Hakeem and Rodney McRae were both all defensive players, and the team was pretty balanced, as they finished 46-36. Lloyd averaged 6.5 points, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. He got limited minutes in 2 games, as the Rockets lost in 4 to the Dallas Mavericks in the first round. Lloyd retired, but he made a small comeback with the Atlanta Eagles in the USBL, and then he retired again after that. He's currently the Director of Player Development and a Community Ambassador for the Sixers. He was also honored in 2022 with a spot on the Cavaliers Wall of Honor, along with Lenny Wilkens and Campy Russell. Will B. Free was a player who had a larger-than-life personality, but he was consistently one of the best scorers in the league, averaging more than 22 points a game for 8 years in a row. If he was on better teams, he probably would have been an all-star more than once. He could hit contested shots over anyone, and he was a great slasher, but also being competent on defense. His star power kept the Cavs in Cleveland during their low point as a franchise, and he should definitely get more credit for how good he was. Man, thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all for watching, man. Like, I've always seen World Be Free, man. Like, his name was just what stuck out to me. Like, World Be Free, that's a dope name. And then I saw him play, I'm like, oh my God. Like, he plays like somebody would play now in like 2025. The way he moved was so fluid. Like, he's shooting contested jumpers over people. This is how like Cam Thomas plays now. He's such a great scorer that he can hit any shot that you want him to hit. I don't know. I just seen the way he was scoring. Like, oh my, he's hitting fadeaway jumpers. He's shooting like leaning to the left. Like, he's just hitting all types of crazy stuff. He was a bucket, man. He was a bucket. But thanks for watching. Really appreciate y'all. Leave a like and enjoy. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Turn my post notifications on. Be safe. I'm out. Peace.